When you believe in God, do you really know Him? James chapter 2 verse 19 tells us, you believe that God is one? You do well. The demons also believe and shudder. Don't you think it's interesting that this verse tells us that the demons not only believe, so it is affirming that the demons believe in God. Isn't that interesting? But it takes it a step further. It says that they don't just believe, they shudder. They tremble. They believe that God is powerful. They know enough that they shudder in fear of Him. But that is the extent of their knowledge. Believing in God is not the same thing as knowing God personally. Let me say that again. Believing in God is different than personally knowing God. And I want to invite you to reflect on this thought or this question. Now, thinking about your relationship with God, do you only believe enough to shudder? And what is the outcome to just believing? If we accept that simply what has been told to us about God, instead of digging and discovering for ourselves, we will never really know Him. We will simply rely on what is said about Him. And this world has many different opinions about God. There are some that even believe, and listen to what I'm saying, there is an emphasis on the belief. They believe that there is no God. So there is a belief involved in being atheist. They believe that there is no God. So that is one opinion. Others believe that God is the so-called, the man upstairs or something like that, right? Have you heard that kind of a saying? But hearing and knowing about God actually stops short of truly knowing God, and it leaves us with only one option. So when we rely on only what is said about Him, then we fall on this option of only believing in Him. When you just believe it because it causes you, when you just believe, it causes you to live by your own rules. And let me ask you this second question to reflect on. How does life look when you live by your own rules? Many people want to live by their own rules, and it is not because they are rejecting God, but rather because they haven't known Him. They've only known about Him. And 1 John chapter 2 verse 34 says, we know that we have come to know Him if we obey His commands. The man who says, I know Him, but does not do what He commands is a liar, and the truth is not in him. Let me explain. When we know God, we obey God, the commandments, the specific calling for our life. But when we know about God, we rely on following certain rules that has been told to us that we must follow. And it takes me to the final question to reflect on, and I encourage you to discuss this question with your group there. And the question is, why is a right heart required over only right actions when it comes to obeying God's command? Why is a right heart required, not just right actions? You see, when we believe in God, and that is as far as we go, that is when we follow a religion. However, when you begin to know God and not just rely your faith on what is said about God, you start to live in a right relationship with Him.